Will Prime make KSI and Logan Paul billionaires?
Prime Hydration by KSI and Logan Paul is the new contender in the hydration drinks industry, leaving fans wake at dawn to buy this sought-after drink. But why did former rivals even start a drinks company in the first place? And will it make them billionaires? Their story starts on the 25th of August 2018 when KSI and Logan Paul came together for a boxing match.
Just drink water. Here's what I've learned, especially Americans, they hate drinking water. It's just a fact. Americans don't like drinking water. They like something like that gives them a little bit of joy in a beverage. That's it. Beverages are a source of joy for people, but I think now people are more conscious on how these joy sources, these little 16-ounce breaks in their day, can also be really terrible for them, like soda or really sugary caffeinated drinks. And so now it's like the new market that you guys all are aware of is like, okay, what if it's a fun drink? Because everybody likes a fun drink, and the fun drink's not terrible for you. And that's where like LaCroix took off. And now there's 1,000 LaCroix competitors, Buble and Spindrift and whatever. And then there's like the other side, which is like kombuchas of the world. Yeah, all that stuff. And then I think this product is like, okay, Gatorade, at least traditional Gatorade, is super sugary and high calorie. And so Prime is like, hey, what if you could have Gatorade, but it wasn't bad for you? I think that's at least the marketing. I think the reality is that it's marketed as a hydration beverage, and it falls short of being anything close to a hydration beverage. Because if you truly want a beverage that hydrates you, and you are like an athlete and you're working out, high intensity, sweating a lot, and you know, a soccer player, whatever you are, like, it's not going to cut it because it just doesn't have enough shit in it. It's basically glorified coconut water that tastes yummy, which, by the way, is fine. I think that's like a fine product. People like yummy little drink products, and that's what this is. Like, most people who are getting Prime are drinking it at their fucking desk at work. You know what I mean? They're drinking it playing PlayStation, you know, at home, which, you know, water hydrates you just as good, but this is like a yummy beverage. Anyway, let's get into it.
This event became the biggest amateur boxing match.
Yeah, because if you actually want like a hydration beverage, you need like a good amount of salt. Like, you need a good amount of calories. You need some carbs. You need some like sugar. Like, you need shit. You need shit in it. Salt. Yeah, I think salt is like, if you're sweating a lot, salt is the main thing in sweat. Like, have you ever tasted your own sweat? It tastes like salt. So you're losing salt. So you need salt if you're losing salt, if you're trying to rehydrate to where you were at. Electrolytes. I think all the electrolytes in Prime are just, and correct me if I'm wrong here because I'm not a fucking geologist, it's just potassium, because I think potassium is another source of electrolytes. But there's a difference of electrolytes coming from potassium versus coming from salt. And so, like, if you're like, and again, this is again a non-factor. This discussion is really only relevant to like the 0.01% of athletes who actually need something to rehydrate them. But like, if you are that athlete and you're sweating a fuck ton, you're running a marathon, and you get all of your electrolytes from Prime from just coconut water and potassium, it's not as effective at rehydrating you and getting back the same like mineral concentration that you sweat out than if you had something like a liquid IV, I think is what it's called, or like even a Gatorade, which has like a good amount of salt in addition to like potassium and other things. Are you just making this up? No, I've seen like 3 videos on it, so kind of an expert at this point.
In history, which only showcases the power of their influence when they come together. After an unfortunate draw, the two came...
Okay, you're making fun of me because I said I watched 3 videos. You guys just watched Logan Paul say, it has a fuck ton of electrolytes. And then you're like, Ludwig has got electrolytes. Like, what are you going to do? Which is literally the plot of the movie Idiocracy. So...
came together again in November 2019 to wrap up their beef. After KSI's victory, we saw very little of the duo. Until late December 2021, after KSI tweeted that he and Logan Paul had an announcement.
We have created our own drink company. Yeah.
Fans were expecting boxing fight number 3. Considering they already beat each other up twice on 2 separate occasions, after the announcement, fans were pretty pissed. And KSI and Logan Paul were both swimming in unknown waters. I mean, no creators had ever created a product in this niche before. And it was sure to become a complete failure.
I have. Technically, swipe bidets are also a hydration product, depending how you use them.
Right? Wrong. In 11 months, Prime is sold out across stores in the US and the UK, partnered with Arsenal Football Club, and has had an underground market for a product emerge, with Prime selling for over 10 times its retail price.
The Prime branding is goated. I think, like, I inarguably believe this. Especially this bottle. The America bottle looks so fucking swag. Prime branding looks good. Looks good on a shelf.
Retail price. There's no doubt that Prime has already become a serious threat to the established sports drinks companies. So will KSI and Logan Paul cash out by selling Prime, or will they stay in the market to compete for that multi-billion-dollar prize? Health and fitness is becoming more and more of a focus in people's lives, and this has led to the emergence of a global sports drink market worth over $27 billion today, which is expected to grow to $36 billion by 2028. Right now, the main market leaders are Gatorade, Powerade, and many other brands ending in aid.
Now, I think you guys are probably all like me, unless you're an actual athlete, where hydration beverages, in your mind, it's like, okay, Gatorade's that bitch. Gatorade's like the drink. Powerade's like knockoff virgin Gatorade. And then everything else kind of like doesn't really exist. And that's, I think, pretty much, at least how I grew up. Like, maybe it's like, oh yeah, Body Armor's like kind of like the new, like maybe that one's kind of hip nowadays. And then most of us who probably did sports when we were younger stopped doing sports, or never got to a high enough level of sports that hydration matters. Like our experience with these products is probably similar, where it's like, oh, I am sick. I need to go get a Gatorade because I need to hydrate because I am sick and shitting a lot. And then, oh, look, this football team won a game. They're dumping Gatorade on their coach. That's probably, like, I doubt most people are sucking down one of these products day to day. But that's probably most of our experiences.
Who knew that the sports drink market was actually a proxy war and a never-ending battle between Coke and Pepsi? Ultimately, Coke and Pepsi own a whopping 95% of the sports drink market, making it a market duopoly. So why did KSI and Logan Paul think they could build a business that competes with the big boys? Well, what if I told you that they didn't, since Prime wasn't even their idea in the first place. When you search online for Prime Hydration LLC, you'll find out that it's a company owned by Congo Brands. The owners of Congo Brands, Max Clemens and Trey Steiger, work with influencers to help them leverage their platforms to build consumer businesses. They design an enticing brand, then make famous influencers the face of it. And frankly, it's a genius strategy. Brands backed by big influencers can grow extremely quickly, since they already have a cohort of customers ready to buy any product their favorite creator is selling. Prime was originally their idea, and they approached Logan Paul and KSI with it.
I feel like that's speculation. I don't know if I necessarily buy that. I do think there's a very popular business model in like the creator economy, where people who are like established brands, or maybe like have former employees of established brands, now try to make those companies for creators. But I think creators have more leverage than this video is giving them credit for, in the sense that like the creators could work with anyone. Like they kind of get their pick of the litter. So it's not like this company made Prime, had like 95% of it, and they're like, hey, Logan, you can have 2.5%, and KSI, you can have 2.5%, and you can be the face of it, smiley face. It's more like they get majority share. Like, I'm assuming KSI and Logan Paul have majority share in this company combined, and then Conga probably has like 30% of the company to run the operations. The company still made Prime? Yeah. Yeah, but like at the same time, did anyone here ever believe for a moment that like Logan Paul was sitting in the meetings and like figuring out how they were going to ship all the products to like different Walmarts? You know what I mean? Like, did we think that? Did we think like Logan was like, dude, we need to get this in like shelves at Nando's. Like, we need a people in Nando's to like be doing this and stuff. Like, did we think Logan Paul was doing an interview for like the logistics manager of Prime? They're just the advertisers. I think they're probably like internally and externally founders. Well, so let's keep watching.
MMBA think that Max, Trey, KSI, and Logan all own around 20% of the company each.
What is that?
That Max, Trey, their idea, and they approached Logan Paul and KSI with it. MMBA think that Max, Trey, KSI, and Logan all own around 20% of the company each, with the rest being owned by some other outside investors with retail expertise. Fundamentally, their goal is simple: to create a healthier alternative to existing sports drinks that taste better and to grow Prime as big as it can possibly get. So,
I don't know about the 20%. That felt like a pure guess, which could be true, but I assume 20%, especially combined between KSI and Logan, are like the plurality shareholders. And then maybe they had to get like a lot of outside help so that they didn't eat the risk of it. Who was the third person? It was Logan, KSI, and Max something?
MMBA think that Max Trey,
Who's Max Trey?
KSI, and
Is that Congo Brands? Oh, the owner of Congo Brands.
Logan all own around 20% of the company each, with the rest being owned by some other outside investors with retail expertise.
Yeah, that's possible.
Fundamentally,
Sure.
their goal is simple: to create a healthier alternative to existing sports drinks that taste better and to grow Prime as big as it can possibly get. So, their equity is worth as much as possible when Prime inevitably lists on the stock exchange or is sold to a competitor. All of this is great in theory, but does Prime actually taste better than the competition?
That's not shit.
I guess it does. From a health perspective, Prime is billed as better, healthier alternative to Gatorade or Powerade. Prime pretty much beats Gatorade across every dimension,
Honestly, there's no comparison.
except for one: price. In general, the price of Prime is around 80 cents more than their competitors. For a low price consumer good, that's a massive difference. However, this price difference won't remain large forever. This is because of the magic of something called economies of scale. For example, if you wanted to buy 100 bottles from a manufacturer, they will charge you a lot more per bottle when compared to when you buy 1,000. This is because they'll give you a big discount to keep your business for bigger orders in the future. And as Prime grows and they get better economies of scale, the cost will eventually come down and become more comparable to the competitors in the market. You see, old companies like Gatorade are constrained by how their products have been formulated. Gatorade was launched back in 1965, and since then, governments around the world have introduced sugar taxes to increase the cost of sugary drinks and deter their customers from buying them. We saw this after Seattle introduced a
This video is fucking dumb, I think.
soda tax, which raised the cost of Gatorade by 65%. And they can't change the ingredients of Gatorade because, well, customers will freak out. Prime has taken full advantage of this by designing a low sugar drink which avoids tax implications while keeping customers happy.
Because I mean, like, also Logan Paul, when he compares Prime to Gatorade in those videos, he's comparing it to one product. Like, Gatorade has like dozens of products. Like, Gatorade has zero sugar products. If Logan wanted to, he could compare Prime to a zero sugar Gatorade option, and then it wouldn't look as good. And then outside of that, Prime is also just less substantial as a hydrating product. I mean, Gatorade's shit, I still think. Tastes like fucking syrup. But than a lot of other hydration products.
Given that Prime has only gotten more popular since its launch, it's clear it's a great product in a fast-growing market. But is it enough to make Logan Paul and KSI billionaires? In order to figure this out, we need to put a valuation on the business. But first, we need to understand how businesses are valued.
Aren't you just guessing? I guess I am, but I think the guy who made this video is also guessing, because he was just kind of like, hey, this one guy said that they each own 20% and they didn't come up with the idea, and now let's guess how much the company's worth, which is like, what? This is just pure conjecture.
To value Prime, we're going to use a valuation technique called the multiples valuation method. This method involves looking at a similar company which is either publicly traded or has just been acquired. Then we compare how much profits it had relative to the amount that was paid for it, which then gives us a multiple. We then use this multiple to value our target company. Lucky for us, there is a very similar company to Prime which has just been acquired by Coca-Cola. In November 2021, Coca-Cola purchased the remaining stake in Body Armor for a cool $5.6 billion, all to bring the company under the Coca-Cola brand. The deal valued Body Armor at around $6.59 billion. Not too shabby. And at the time of acquisition,
I guess the only additional knowledge I have that makes me feel more suspicious about like the information in this video is like my conversations with companies about making a product. And so I guess the only question is, did Logan and KSI come up with the idea for Prime and then like try to go to different companies with that idea so that they could blow it up very quickly, as opposed to Logan and KSI making a company from the ground up with a higher percentage? but they would scale much slower? Or did Congo brands come up to them and they were like, sure, why not? But I feel like it's, I don't know. They came to them. I feel like most people want that to be the case, right? Like maybe I'm wrong here, but I feel like most people are like, fuck Logan Paul right now. They're both YouTubers. Fuck them. They're dumb. They didn't come up with an idea. They're not impressive at all. They're fucking idiots. And all they are is the face of it. And they have small share and fuck that product and fuck them and fuck they're shit and they're stupid. They're idiots and they can't do anything at all. And so they just want them to be figureheads. How'd you come up with a bidet idea? Congo came to me and they said, hey, do you want to make a bidet? And I said, great idea.
Body Armor had around 1.4 billion in annual retail sales and had a growth rate of around 50% per year. This means that under the multiples valuation method, Body Armor was valued at around 4.7 times its annual revenue. According to IRI, a Chicago-based market research firm, Prime reported around $37.6 million in retail sales between January and August 2022. 10 million of this total was sold between June and July alone, showing just how fast the company is growing. At this rate, providing they can supply enough bottles, Prime will do around 100 million in revenue in their first year of business. And using our multiples valuation method, this would value Prime at $500 million after 1 year. So they're not billionaires yet, but what about the next 3 to 5 years? Well, despite Prime's rocket ship growth, they're still tiny in comparison to their competition, which gives them lots of room to grow. While Prime did 37.6 million in sales, Gatorade did a whopping 6.2 billion. The biggest hurdle holding Prime back is production. It's a physical product that needs to be designed, manufactured and shipped all over the world. This takes time and it costs money. We can already see that Prime is struggling under the weight of demand for the product. And with the product constantly being sold out on their website and unavailable in stores, the demand is clearly there, so there's no reason Prime couldn't scale the revenues rivaling Body Armor or Powerade in the next 3 to 5 years. Prime could grow to own 10 to 15% of this entire market going forward. MMBA thinks that anything more would require market incumbents to actively poison their customers.
Wait, this channel's MMBA. Oh, that's so confusing.
At that market share, Prime will be doing around 1.5 billion in revenue every year, and this would value the company at roughly 7 billion. And assuming they own 20% of the company each, that would make KSI and Logan Paul the first YouTube billionaires. Not if Mr. Beast has anything to say about it. Video to come, by the way. So while the original Prime announcement put on Twitter by KSI was called the final chapter, in truth, the final chapter was only the beginning of what will probably become a multi-billion-dollar brand.
All right. 3 million subscribers, but not verified. That's not an M. Dumb vid? Nah, I think it's fine, actually. I think it was being a hater. It's a YouTube video where it has a very flashy title and thumbnail and then a pretty lukewarm take of like a speculative future. I think it's fine. I do think people, because of their feelings about Logan Paul, want to take away as much credit of the success of Prime as possible and apply it to anything else. And they absolutely have a partner in this. But I think the reality is they have a fucking huge share of this company that's super successful and will probably sell for hundreds of millions.